Again independence from France.
46.
Yes, I'm sorry. There were attacks against Jews, boycotts against them, persecution of the Jewish population, and for years the Jews in Syria lived in extreme fear. And until today there are persecution. I know there is a community, little community of Jewish population in Syria, but there are today also persecution, like they are the only military with passport and identity cards are not a religion. Um, and that's why I want also to know what do you think about that?
In other words, you're not a nice person.
I am a troublemaker.
Yeah.
My friend, up to 1948, we had 2 Jewish deputies in our parliament. 2. And that exceeds at that time the size of the Jewish community in Syria. The same goes right now with the representativity of the Kurdish population in Syria. The size of the Kurds in Syria give them the right to get 8 deputies in the parliament. 8. If we want to go through the Lebanese example, if we want to apply the Lebanese rules, we should have only 8 Kurds representatives in our parliament. Do you know how many Kurds do we have in the parliament? We have 31. Because we do not believe in this sectarian division of the society. You are competent, welcome. You are not competent, outside. Regardless of your religious background. This is my first remark. My second remark. If you go back in history, you would see that the Zionist networks existing in the Arab countries made a huge conspiracy to push the Jewish communities in the Arab world to emigrate to Palestine. I will just give you some examples. In 1944, Cairo in Egypt. In 1944, in 1954, the Zionist connection in Egypt threw a bomb in a theater, cinema, in Cairo, and they killed dozens of people. Most of them were Jewish, watching a movie. To push, to keep these people scared, and to push them to run away out of Egypt. They did the same thing in Syria. They did the same thing in Baghdad. The one in Cairo is very well known case, known under the name of the scandal of Lafon. Lafon used to be the Minister of Interior of Israel at that time. He was the mastermind of this coup. They did it in Syria, they did it in Iraq, they did it everywhere in the Arab world, to push the Arab Jews towards running out of their countries. This is why we still have Jews in Syria. This is why. In the early 80s, President Carter intervened with us to let the last Jewish community in Syria to immigrate towards USA. They were 5,000 people at that time. President Carter asked us to let these people leave. We told them everybody who wants to leave is free to do so, providing that he will not get back. You take your decision to leave your country by your own will, you do it. But please, don't tell me 10 years after that you would like to get back. So part of the Jewish community decided to emigrate towards USA. Part of them went to Israel. And the remaining Jews in Syria are still there. Nobody is persecuting them. They have their own temples, they have their own religious places, and we are proud of them being part of our nation. Our nation is not a Muslim nation. I told you, we are proud of all our children, Muslim, Jews, Christians. This is their country, this is their land. But the problem is that all of these Jewish communities in the Arab world were a victim of a plot organized by the Zionist connections. Why they did this? Because they needed people in Israel. They needed what they call bringing the diaspora into Palestine so that they build up a new state of Israel in Palestine. That was the reason why they were behind every single Jew in the Arab nation, in the Arab world, to immigrate into Palestine.
Questions? Yes, sir.
Demonstration towards Iran about new Israeli air capabilities to get around air defenses. What is your explanation of what has happened and what really was bombed? Because we have not heard anything which is abnormal in any Israeli air situation.
Are you making a bomb?
A nuclear bomb.
Nuclear bomb?
Nuclear bomb.
I ask because I'm in the business and we've done it, so we want, we want to know whether you're joining our club.
We might need your help. Thank you for raising this question. Actually, what happened is that on September the 6th in the evening at 1:30 in the morning, 6 Israeli American-made aircraft, F-16, 6 Israeli fighter jets violated our airspace coming from the Mediterranean through the Syrian-Turkish borders. They penetrated very deep inside Turkish airspace until they hit an area named Tel Abyad, the hill of Abyad. From that area, they went down to the Euphrates River city called Deir ez-Zor. In this city, there is a center, an Arab center for the study of deserts, arid areas and desert. It's something, an Arab center to combat desertification, because this area is about desert. They were encountered by our air defense fire. So they turned back towards north, towards Syrian-Turkish border. Then they turned left, running out towards the Mediterranean. On their way, they dropped missiles. They dropped missiles at an empty building next to this center of combating desertification in Deir ez-Zor. When they were encountered by our air defense fire, they dropped also their fuel tanks in order to alleviate the weight of the plane, of the fighter jets, so that the speed would be higher. They were obligated somehow to run away. Then they had great interest in dropping the extra weight they had in these planes. This is what happened. This is the picture. Now, politically speaking, the Israeli kept silent 5 days. We didn't keep silent, and they were surprised by this. We raised the matter immediately in the United Nations by sending 2 letters to the Secretary General as well as to the Secretary General of the President of the Security Council.